Bai Qiulian. It is said that Mu Changong, the son of Hebei businessman Mu Shaowan, is very smart and likes to read. But when he was 16 years old, his father thought that studying was too pedantic. So he asked him to learn business and went to chew with his father. On the way on the boat, Toad Palace read and recited ancient poems when he had nothing to do. After arriving in Wuchang, my father stayed at the hotel to take care of the goods. Whenever Toad Palace's father went out, he would read poetry with a book in hand. His poetry reading was very charming and sonorous. Sometimes Toad Palace would see shadows shaking outside the window, as if someone was eavesdropping, but he didn't pay much attention. One night, my father went out to a banquet and did not come back very late. Toad Palace also enjoys reading poetry at home. At this time, someone was wandering outside the window, and the shadow of the moonlight was clearly reflected on the window. Toad Palace was very strange, so he suddenly went out to look. It turned out to be a beautiful woman about 15 or 16 years old, with an alluring appearance. When the girl saw Toad Palace coming out, she hurried away. 2 or 3 days later, the father and son took the boat back to the north with the goods. The boat was moored by the lake at night. The father went out on business. At this time, an old lady came onto the boat and said to Toad Palace, "Mr. Lang, you killed my daughter." Toad Palace was very surprised and asked her what was going on. The old lady said, "My husband's surname is Bai, and I have an only daughter, Bai Qiulian, who likes to read. She told me that she heard you reading poetry when she was in the city. She misses you so much now that she can neither eat nor sleep. Don't sleep. I want to betroth Qiulian to you. Please don't refuse." Changong also liked the girl in his heart, but he was afraid that his father would blame him, so he told the old lady the truth. The old lady didn't quite believe it and asked Toad Palace to settle the matter, but Toad Palace refused. The old lady said angrily, "Some marriages in this world cannot succeed even if you are very wronged. Now that I am personally acting as a matchmaker and you don't agree to it, I am too embarrassed. Don't even think about taking a boat back to the north." After that, he left. After a while, Toad Gong's father came back. Toad Gong told his father what happened just now, hoping in his heart that his father would agree. But the father felt that the girl was out of town, and the girl Huaikun was a little unreliable, so he laughed it off and did not agree. The water depth of the boat could not be explored with the boat's oar. Suddenly, sand and stones piled up in the water at night, and the boat was held up and unable to move. Every year there are boats blocked by sand in the lake. When the peach blossoms bloom and the water rises the next spring, other people's goods have not yet arrived. The things in the boats can be sold for 100 times the price, so Toad Palace's father does not go too far. Worry or wonder, I just thought that the money would be spent next year. So I left Toad Palace behind and went back to my hometown in Hebei to withdraw the money. Toad Palace was secretly happy, but regretted not asking the old lady where she lived last night. When the sun went down, the old lady came with a maid to support her daughter, and tied her daughter's clothes, let her lie down on the bed, and said to Toad Palace, "People are so sick. Don't sit back and relax. Act like nothing is wrong." Yeah, then he left. Toad Palace was startled when he heard this. He took the lamp and shined it on the girl, and saw that, although she was sick, she still looked delicate, and her eyes were moving like the waves of autumn water. Toad Palace asked her a few questions, but the girl just smiled and didn't answer. Toad Palace insisted on letting her speak, so the girl said, "I am haggard but ashamed of my husband, that's what I want to say." Toad Palace was ecstatic and wanted to have sex with her, but he felt that she was still ill and her body weak. So he put his hand into the girl's arms and played with her. The girl became happy and relaxed her frown, and said, "If you read Wang Jian's poem Luo Yi 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 to me 3 times, my illness will be cured." Toad Palace read it to her. After reciting it twice, the girl undressed and sat up and said, "I'm cured." When she read it for the 3rd time, the girl recited it in unison, her voice soft and moving. Toad Palace was even more disturbed, so he put out the candles, and the 2 of them slept together. Before dawn, the girl got up and said, "My old mother is coming soon." After a while, the old lady came as expected. Seeing that her daughter had dressed up and was sitting there happily, the old lady felt happy again. Another relief, he asked his daughter to go with him, but she lowered her head and said nothing. The old lady left on her own, and before leaving she said, "You like to play with Mr. Lang, so I'll let you do as you please." When Toad Palace saw the old lady leaving, he asked the girl where she lived. The girl said, "You and I just met by chance. It doesn't matter whether we can get married or not. You don't need to know where I live." However, the two of them loved each other and were committed to each other, and they had endless love stories. I don't know how many happy days had passed, but that night the girl got up early, turned on the lamp, and suddenly opened a book. After taking a look, her face became sad and tears rolled down her face. Toad Palace hurriedly got up and asked what was going on. The girl said, "Your father is coming soon. I used a book to divine things about us just now. When I opened it, I saw Liaozhai song, which means it is not very auspicious." Toad Palace comforted her. She said, "The first sentence marrying Qiulian is already a blessing. How can it be bad?" The girl was a little happy after hearing this. Stood up and said goodbye. "Let's break up for the time being. Otherwise we won't wait till dawn, you will be criticized and criticized." Toad Palace grabbed the girl's arm and asked with a choke sob, "If father agrees to our marriage, where can I inform you?" The girl said, "I will send someone to people off and ask. I will know if the marriage can happen or not." Toad Palace wanted to get off the boat to see the girl off, but she refused to do so and left alone. Not long after, Toad Palace's father arrived. Toad Palace gradually told his father about the girl. His father suspected that he had found a prostitute and scolded him severely. He checked the belongings in the boat again and found that they were not missing, so he stopped scolding. One night, when his father was not on the boat, the girl suddenly came. Toad Palace felt that it was hard to leave her, but he didn't know what to do. The girl said, "Sorrows and joys have their own fate, so let's focus on the present first. Let's keep you for another 2 months, and then we can discuss a solution after 2 months." Before leaving, the two made an appointment to read aloud code. From then on, whenever her father went out, Toad Palace would sing loudly, and the girl would come over by herself. By the end of April, the ship was still unable to move, and the goods would not be able to be sold at a good price if this continued. The merchants were very anxious, so they pulled their money to buy some incense, pigs and cattle, and knelt down and prayed in the temple of the lake god. After the Dragon Boat Festival, it rained heavily and the boat could leave. After Toad Palace returned to his hometown in Hebei, he missed the girl day and night, so much that he hurt his body and became seriously ill. The father was very worried and invited many doctors and even witches and wizards, hoping to make his son get better. Toad Palace told his mother in private, "My illness cannot be cured by taking medicine or asking God. Only Qiulian can cure it." When his father heard about it, he was very angry at first. As time went by, I saw that Toad Palace's body was getting worse day by day, and he was about to die, so he became frightened, rented a car, and took his son back to Chudi again, and boarded the boat to the old place where the boat was parked before. Toad Palace's father asked nearby residents, but no one knew about the old woman from the Bai family. At this time, there happened to be an old lady rowing a boat on the lakeside, and she said that the person she was looking for was herself. The old man boarded her boat and caught a glimpse of Qiulian. He thought the girl was really good-looking and felt happy for his son. The old man carefully inquired about the family background of the Bai family, and found out that they were the mother and daughter of the fisherman family and that the boat was their home. So Old Man Mu told the old lady the cause of his son's illness, hoping that the girl could come to their ship to see his son Toad Palace, and make Toad Palace happy, and maybe the illness would be cured. The old lady felt that there was no engagement, so she refused to let her daughter go. When they were talking, the girl exposed half of her face and listened carefully. When I heard that the two of them had not reached an agreement, I was so anxious that I almost shed tears. When the old lady saw her daughter like this and listened to Old Man Mu pleading beside her, she agreed. At night, Old Man Mu went out, and the girl came as expected. She came to Toad Palace's bedside and cried. I was like this last year, but I didn't expect that you would be so sick this year. It seems that you have also tasted this feeling of missing me. But you are so weak now, and you can't be anxious right away. Okay, let me read a poem to you. Okay, Toad Palace happily let her read it. The girl also recited Wang Jian's Luo Yi that was read to her last time in Toad Palace. Toad Palace said, "This poem represents your thoughts. How will it work if you read it to me? But after listening to your voice, I already feel refreshed. Try reading Thousands of Willows Head to the West for me." The girl read it. Toad Palace praised. "How wonderful! Among the poems you read to me before, there is a poem called Picking Lotus Seeds that says, the fragrance of lotus flowers lasts for 10 hectares. I haven't forgotten it yet. Please read it to me slowly." The girl read it again. Before the poem was finished, Toad Palace jumped up from the bed and said, "Zhao Sheng, when did I get sick?" Then he happily held the girl in his arms, as if the illness was completely cured. After a while, he asked the girl, "What did my father tell your mother? Have we settled on our marriage?" The girl had already seen what Toad Gong's father meant, so she bluntly told Toad Gong, "Your father did not agree." After a while, the girl left, and Toad Gong's father came back. He was very happy to see that Toad Gong had gotten up and said some words of comfort and encouragement to him. By the way, the father told Changong what happened when he met the Bai family's mother and daughter. The girl is very nice. But the fishermen's girls know how to row a boat and sing from the time they comb their pigtails. I don't think their family's family background is not good. I'm just afraid of her. Maybe he's unfaithful. Toad Palace didn't answer. After the old man went out, the girl came back, and Toad Palace told what her father meant. The girl said, "I know very clearly. Haste makes waste in the affairs of the world. The more you welcome him, the more unwilling he will be. He should be allowed to change his mind and in turn beg us." Toad Palace asked him what he wanted strategy. The girl said, "Businessmen are very profitable. I have a way to predict the price. I just looked at the goods in your ship, and none of them can make a lot of money. Tell your father for me, buy whatever you want, and you can get 3 times the profit. If you buy something else, you can get 10 times the profit. You buy these goods and transport them home. If it is the same as what I said, then your father will think that I am a good wife. You will come here again next year. You are 18, I'm 17, and there are still many happy days left. So there's nothing to worry about." Toad Palace told his father the girl's predicted price. His father didn't believe it, so he used half of the remaining money to buy the goods Qiulian mentioned. After returning home, Old Man Mu lost a lot of money on the goods he bought. Fortunately, he bought a small part of the goods according to Qiulian's words and made a lot of money. The two offset the cost, which was roughly enough. Old Man Mu admired Qiulian's ability to predict prices. Toad Palace took the opportunity to exaggerate, saying that Qiulian had said that he could become a rich man. Old Man Mu was tempted and took all his capital with him to go south. When we arrived at Dongding Lake, we searched for several days, but could not find the old lady of the Bai family. A few days later, he saw the old lady's boat parked under the willow tree. So Old Man Mu took many gifts and asked the old lady to agree to the marriage with kind words. The old lady didn't ask for his gift, so she found a good day to send the girl to Old Man Mu's boat. The old man specially rented a boat and arranged the wedding for his son. After getting married, the girl asked Old Man Mu to purchase goods further south and wrote down everything he wanted to buy on paper. The old man followed the instructions and went to the south to purchase. The old lady of the Bai family let her son-in-law live on her boat for 3 months until Old Man Mu came back. The goods purchased by Old Man Mu were sold at twice the price in Shuti. Old Man Mu took his son and daughter-in-law back to the north. Before leaving, Qiulian asked his father-in-law to carry some lake water back. After returning home, Qiulian put some lake water back every time he ate, just like adding soy sauce or vinegar. From then on, every time Old Man Mu went to the south to do business, he would bring back a few jars of lake water. 3 or 4 years later, the couple gave birth to a big, fat boy. One day, Qiulian cried and wanted to go home. Old man Mu took his son and daughter-in-law back to Chudi. When we arrived at Dongting Lake, we couldn't find the old lady. Qiulian was banging on the side of the boat, calling loudly for his mother, almost going crazy with anxiety. Qiulian urged Changong to ask along the lake. In Toad Palace, I met a man who fished for sturgeon and catfish, and saw him catch a baby dolphin. Toad Palace came up to take a look and saw that the baby dolphin was very big and looked like a human, with breasts and a vulva. Toad Palace felt it was very strange, so he came back and told Qiulian about it. Qiulian was very frightened after hearing this. He said that he had always wanted to release the dolphin, and told Toad Palace to buy the baby dolphin and release it. Toad Palace went to discuss with the fisherman, and the fisherman lion opened his mouth and asked for a high price. Qiulian said, "I am in your house and I have made too much money for you. Are you so reluctant to part with this little money? If you really don't want to, I will immediately throw myself into the lake." Toad Palace was afraid and did not dare to tell his father. He said that he stole some money, bought the baby dolphin and released it. After coming back, Qiulian disappeared and he couldn't be found anywhere. Qiulian did not come back until dawn that night. Toad Palace asked her where she had been. Qiulian said, "I just went to my mother's place." Toad Palace asked, "Where is your mother?" Qiulian then said, "I have to tell you now. Here's the truth. The baby dolphin you bought during the day is my mother. My mother lives in Dongting Lake, and the Dragon King of Dongting sent her to manage the water travel. Recently, in the selection of concubines in the Dragon Palace, some nosy people said that I am beautiful, so the Dragon King said I ordered my mother to find me. My mother told the Dragon King that I had married you, but the Dragon King refused to listen and banished my mother to the south bank of Dongting Lake. My mother was so hungry that she almost died of hunger before she was caught by the fishermen. Although she has been released now back to the lake, but the Dragon King's order has not been cancelled. If you love me, please beg the true Lord on my behalf and exempt my mother from the Dragon King's punishment. If you think I'm an alien and hate me, then I will give my son, I'll give it back to you, and I'll go on my own. The life in Dragon Palace may be 100 times better than at home." Toad Palace was shocked when he heard this, and was worried that he would not be able to see the true king. Qiulian said, "The true Lord will come at no time tomorrow. If you see a lame Taoist priest, go and worship him quickly. Follow him when he jumps into the water. The true Lord likes scholars and will definitely take pity on us. I promise you." So Qiulian took out a handkerchief made of fish belly silk and said, "If the real king asks you if you have anything to ask for, just take out this handkerchief and ask him to write the word free on it." The next day, Toad Palace waited for the true king by the lake as Qiulian said. Sure enough, a Taoist priest came limping over. Toad Palace knelt down and worshipped. The Taoist priest ran away quickly, with Toad Palace following closely behind. The Taoist priest threw his walking stick into the water and jumped in. Toad Palace followed him regardless and jumped onto the walking stick. When I went up to take a look, I found that the walking stick had turned into a boat. The Taoist asked, "What do you want from me?" Toad Palace took out a handkerchief and asked him to write. The Taoist priest opened the handkerchief, took a look and said, "This is the fin of the baby dolphin. Where did you get it?" Toad Palace didn't dare to hide it, so he told everything carefully. The Taoist priest laughed and said, "This baby dolphin is so elegant. How can the old dragon be so debauched?" Then he took out his pen and wrote the word free in cursive, like a charm. The Taoist rowed the boat back to the shore and let it go down to the Toad Palace. When Toad Palace came to the shore, he saw the Taoist priest standing on a walking stick in the water, floating on the lake, and disappeared after a while. Toad Palace returned to his boat. Qiulian was very happy to hear what happened to him about meeting the Taoist priest, and asked Toad Palace not to tell his parents about it. After returning to his hometown in Hebei, another 2 or 3 years passed. Old Mu went to the south to do business and did not come back for several months. The lake was almost running out of water. I waited and waited, but old man Mu still didn't come back. Qiulian became ill. He had shortness of breath day and night, and couldn't stop panting. He told To Palace, "If I die, don't bury me. You must read Du Fu's poem Dream of Li Bai to me at Maoer, Noonar and you are every day, so that my body will not rot. When the lake water arrives, pour the water into the basin, close the door, take off my clothes. Carry me into the basin and soak it in the lake water, so that I can come back to life." Qiulian breathed for a few more days, but couldn't hold on any longer and died. Half a month later, old man Mu came back with the lake water, and Changong quickly did as Qiulian said in advance. Qiulian soaked in the water for more than an hour and slowly regained consciousness. From then on, Qiulian often wanted to return to his hometown. Later, old man Mu passed away, and Changong followed Qiulian's wishes, and the family moved to live in Chu.
Alright, this story has come to an end. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you.